In the dusty, sun-beaten arena of a local horse auction, a palpable tension hung in the air. The auctioneer's voice, a rhythmic, booming chant, bounced off the wooden fences as horse after horse was paraded before a crowd of seasoned ranchers and eager buyers. But one animal stood out, not for its beauty or its pedigree, but for the sheer contempt it drew from everyone present. His name was Tempest, a scrawny, mud-caked stallion with a wild look in his eyes and a coat matted with burrs and scars. Every time Tempest was brought into the ring, a wave of scornful mutters would ripple through the crowd. "He's untrainable," one would say. "Vicious," another would whisper. Tempest would rear, snort, and kick at the handlers, his body a coiled spring of fear and defiance. The handlers used long poles to keep him at a distance, their faces a mixture of frustration and fear. He had a reputation that preceded him, a story of bucking every rider, biting every hand that tried to groom him, and smashing through fences as if they were made of paper. He was deemed a lost cause, a dangerous animal destined for the lowest bidder, likely for a fate no one wanted to speak aloud. Among the crowd, leaning against a splintered railing, was a young ranch hand named Jake. Unlike the others, Jake wasn't a wealthy landowner or a professional horse trader. He was a man whose hands were calloused from hard work and whose face was weathered by the sun. He earned a modest living, and every penny was hard-won. He watched Tempest's frantic dance in the ring, but he didn't see a monster. He saw terror. He saw a spirit that had been broken not by genetics, but by misunderstanding and rough handling. He saw a reflection of his own past struggles, a soul fighting against a world that had given up on it. When the bidding for Tempest started, it was met with silence. The auctioneer, eager to move on, began with a laughably low price. "Do I hear $50? Just 50 to take this problem off our hands." Still, silence. The air grew heavy. It seemed Tempest's fate was sealed. Then, a single, clear voice cut through the stillness. $100. Every head turned to see Jake, his hand raised, his expression calm and determined. A few people chuckled. What could a simple ranch hand possibly do with a horse that had baffled the most experienced trainers in the county? The auctioneer, surprised, slammed his gavel down. "Sold to the young man with more courage than sense." The crowd parted as Jake walked toward the holding pen, their faces a mix of pity and disbelief. He didn't carry a whip or a prod. He just walked slowly, his movements deliberate and gentle. When he reached the gate, he didn't immediately open it. He simply stood there, speaking to Tempest in a low, soothing voice. The horse, still agitated, watched him with wide, distrustful eyes, ears twitching at every sound. Jake stayed there for what felt like an hour, just talking, letting the horse get used to his presence, his scent, his calm energy. Finally, he unlatched the gate and stepped inside. He didn't try to touch Tempest. He just sat on an overturned bucket in the corner, humming a soft tune his mother used to sing to him. Slowly, miraculously, the stallion's frantic pacing slowed. His snorting subsided. Curiosity began to replace fear. He took a hesitant step toward Jake, then another, his nostrils flaring as he took in the strange, peaceful human. Jake didn't move. He let Tempest make all the choices. After a long while, the horse lowered his head and nudged Jake's shoulder. It was a small gesture, but for this horse it was a monumental leap of faith. Getting Tempest home was an ordeal in itself. The horse fought the trailer, rearing and pulling back. But Jake remained patient. He didn't force him. Instead, he led his own gentle mare Daisy into the trailer first. Seeing her calm demeanor, Tempest, after much hesitation, cautiously followed. The journey back to Jake's small, rented patch of land was quiet. The first few weeks were a battle of wills, a test of Jake's seemingly endless patience. Tempest would revert to his old ways, kicking at the stall, refusing to be groomed, and shying away from any touch. The neighbors warned Jake he was wasting his time and risking his life. "That horse will kill you," one old rancher told him, shaking his head. But Jake refused to listen. He spent every spare moment with Tempest, not as a trainer trying to break a wild animal, but as a friend trying to earn trust. He discovered that Tempest loved the taste of apples, so he spent his evenings cutting them into small pieces and offering them on a flat palm. He learned that the horse had a deep gash on his hind leg, hidden beneath the matted fur, that was clearly causing him pain. With slow, gentle movements over many days, Jake was finally able to clean and treat the wound. He spoke to Tempest constantly, telling him about his day, his dreams, his sorrows. He was building a bridge, one quiet moment at a time. The breakthrough came one crisp autumn morning. Jake was in the pasture, mending a fence. He had left the gate to Tempest's paddock open, as he had started doing recently, allowing the horse the freedom to choose. Tempest trotted out, not with his usual manic energy, but with a new, confident stride. He walked right up to Jake and rested his head on his shoulder, letting out a soft, contented sigh. For the first time, he was initiating contact not out of fear or curiosity, but out of affection. Tears welled up in Jake's eyes as he wrapped his arms around the horse's powerful neck. In that moment, they weren't a man and a beast. They were two friends who had found solace in each other. From that day on, their bond solidified. Jake began riding Tempest, not with a harsh bit and spurs, but with a gentle hackamore and subtle cues. The horse that no one could ride now moved with a grace and willingness that was breathtaking to watch. They explored the vast open plains together, galloping across fields, their movements synchronized as if they were one being. Tempest, the once hated and feared stallion, was transformed. His coat shone like polished mahogany, his muscles were defined, and his eyes, once wild with fear, now held a soft, intelligent light. Word of the reformed horse began to spread. The same people who had mocked Jake at the auction now stopped by his fence, their mouths agape in astonishment. They saw Jake and Tempest working together, a perfect partnership built on trust and respect. One day, the wealthy rancher who owned the largest spread in the valley, Mr. Blackwood, paid Jake a visit. Blackwood had been at the auction and had laughed the loudest at Jake's purchase. Now, he watched as Jake rode Tempest bareback, guiding him with nothing more than a gentle touch and a soft word. Impressed beyond words, Blackwood made Jake an offer. "I've never seen anything like it," he admitted, his voice full of awe. "That horse is 1 in a million. I'll give you $10,000 for him." Right here, right now. It was a staggering amount of money for Jake, more than he made in 2 years of backbreaking work. It was enough to buy his own land, to build a life he had only dreamed of. Jake looked at Mr. Blackwood, then over at Tempest, who was nuzzling his hand, looking for an apple. He thought about the dusty auction house, the scornful faces, the lonely, terrified animal he had first seen. He thought about the long nights, the patient work, the moment the horse finally trusted him. He looked at the powerful, magnificent friends standing beside him. Tempest wasn't just a horse. He was a testament to what kindness and patience could achieve. He was family. A slow smile spread across Jake's face. He shook his head gently. "Thank you for the offer, sir." "It's more than generous," he said, his voice steady and clear. "But some things aren't for sale." Mr. Blackwood was stunned into silence. He simply nodded, a new level of respect in his eyes, and left. Jake turned back to Tempest, burying his face in his soft mane. He had made his choice. He didn't need a fortune. He already had something far more valuable. News of Jake turning down the offer became a local legend. But Jake didn't care about the stories. He and Tempest continued their quiet life, their bond growing stronger each day. They became a symbol of hope in the small community, a living reminder that with a little compassion, even the most lost souls can be saved, and that the greatest treasures in life can't be bought or sold. They are earned through love, patience, and a belief in the good that lies within.